Okay, this is block 2 from topic 2, ratios and rates. This is page 47 in your workbook. And they have videos that go along with all of these problems like they normally do, but they like confuse me. So I thought if they confused me, they might confuse you. So I'm not going to use the little video clips. I'm going to teach you from the problems first. So it's going to look straight like your textbook problems. So I'm looking at number 1. And number 1 reads, let me get my copy. I can read it. It took Anthony's family 5 hours and 10 minutes to drive 296 miles between Chicago and St. Louis. What was the average speed in miles per hour? So we're finding a unit rate. Because how many per hour? 1. So I'm looking for a unit rate. First, I see 3 different numbers. Do you see 3 different numbers? Okay. Why? I only need to see 2 different numbers. So what's tripping me up here? I see 296 miles, 5 hours, 10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes.
The 10 minutes is tripping me up because
it's miles per hour.
This is all part of the time, right? Then this is part of the miles. And we're looking miles per hour. It should be on page 47. Writing down everything I'm writing down. Okay? I don't need this 5 hours and 10 minutes needs to be 1 number. I need to make that 1 number. So I know my whole number is going to be 5. But I need to change that to a decimal somehow. Well, how many minutes are in an hour? I know I have 10 out of 60 minutes. How can I change this to a decimal? Divide 10 divided by 60. That's going to give me, no, 10 divided by 60 isn't going to give me a whole number. It's going to give me more than that. If I get my calculator, I have 10 divided by 60. I have a lot more numbers than that. I'm going to say that is 0.17. Do you see how I got 0.17? I just rounded to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to use this as my time. So it was 5 hours, 5.17 hours. So now I have 1 number I'm looking at. I want to know what was their average speed in miles per hour. So I'm looking at miles per hour. What was the total miles we traveled?
296.
296. So I'm putting that on the same level as miles. So 296. And how many hours did it take me to do that? 5.17 hours. I want to find a unit rate. So I want to get 1. So 5.17 to get to a 1, what are we having to do? Divide by 5.17. But do we ever really divide? What are we supposed to be doing? Multiplying, because scale factors is multiply. So how do I multiply, but it means the same thing as divide? Make it a fraction. So I just put 1 over 5.17. Am I going to do that in my calculator? No, I'm actually going to write divide 5.17. So I need to do divide 296 by 5.17 as well. So I'm going to get my handy calculator here. Get 296 divided by 5.17. And I get that long decimal. I want just 2 decimal places. So what would that be?
57.3.
57 point, I want 2 decimal places. 25. Okay, this was miles, this was hours. So what was their average speed in miles per hour?
57.2.
57.25 miles per hour is my answer. That was for number 1. Do you want to watch the video clip of how they did it?
Yes.
Okay, let me log on to that. Okay, the video couldn't pull up, so we're not watching the video. So we're going to go on to problem number 2 in our textbook. And 2 has an A and a B. Problem 2 says, Anthony's family left Chicago with a full gas tank. They got to St. Louis. They filled the car back up. It took 8 gallons of gas to fill the tank. So how much gas did it take them to get to St. Louis? 8. If they had a full tank, and when they got there, they filled it back up, and it only took them 8 gallons. How much was used? 8 gallons. Okay. Gas cost $3.26 per gallon. So, A says, what was the gas mileage for the 296-mile trip? In other words, how many miles per gallon did the car get? Well, to find miles per gallon, I must first know the miles. I'm going to divide that by the gas used. You're writing this. And that's going to give me the miles per gallon. Well, what was the total miles of the trip? There was only 8 miles. There was 296. So 296 divided by how much gas was used? 8 gallons, because that's how much we had to fill up. And when I take my calculator and I do 296 divided by 8, I get 37. That's going to be miles per gallon. So what was the gas mileage? 37 miles per gallon. Do you think that's really good for a car?
Not really.
No. I mean,
Most cars, like
I don't know, cars.
I know my car gets like 23 miles per gallon. And that's pretty good. If you're driving like a car, some of them get into the 30s if they don't have like a powerful engine.
my dad has 2 cars. It's like one is a leak. So it's like, what are the electric cars? It's like,
Oh, yeah. So it gets
like,
really
it
good
has
gas mileage.
Gas, and it has a gas motor and has an electric.
Right.
Then you have a BMW where every time he stops, like
It turns off.
the engine shuts off.
I know. That's cool.
Like my mom.
Those are pretty cool. So those are getting really good gas per mile. Because is it counting the electricity used from the the battery that it's using? No, it's just counting the gas.
So what kind of car do you think that is there?
This would probably have to be some sort of hybrid car. You know how they advertise all the hybrids?
Yeah.
Hybrids get better gas mileage. B says, what was the total cost for gas? Well, to find the total cost for gas, I need to know the cost per gallon. And I'm going to multiply that times the total gas used. And that's going to give me my total cost. Well, looking at the problem, did it tell me the cost per gallon?
No. Wait.
What is it?
$3.10.
$3.26. So $3.26 is cost per gallon. Did they tell me a total of gas used? We knew 8 gallons, so 8. Now I have a math problem, multiplication. So 3.26 times 8, 2608. And what is this? This is money, so that would be my total cost for that trip. Okay. Let's see. So problem 3, we have a panda bear here. Oopsie daisies, what did I do? Let's get that back up. Alright. So this panda bear, it says, you took a trip to the San Diego Zoo. You traveled 693 miles. The trip took you 11 hours, and you used 21 gallons of gas. The total cost of gas was $69.72. You can use this information to complete the following unit rates for the trip. Okay, so it asks you 3 different questions. If you're watching the video, you can pause it and work with your group to solve this problem. And that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to pause the video. And you're going to... Alright, we're going to check our answers. Your average speed on a trip was blank miles per hour. We got, should have been 63. The mileage your car got on the trip was blank miles per gallon. That should have been 33. And the unit price you paid for gas was blank per gallon. That should have been $3.32. That will give us all the correct answers. That was problem number 3. Alright, I'm going to do problem 4 and 5 with you. Let me get 3 and 4. Alright, problem 4 says if you travel 105 miles at 70 miles per hour, how long will the trip take? Okay? So I like to set things up as a fraction. So I'm going to look miles per hour. Well, how fast was I going?
70.
So 70 is going to go on the top of the fraction or the bottom?
The top.
Top, because it's representing miles. How many hours is that representing?
1.
How did you know 1?
Per hour.
Because it says per hour, so that's per 1 hour. So this was a unit rate. I'm going to use my unit rate, and they said I'm traveling how far?
105 hours.
Okay, is 105 going to be on the top of my fraction or the bottom? 105 is talking about hours. It's talking about miles. So 105.
Over one?
I don't know what it's over. That's what I have to figure out. So I need to know 70 times what gives me 105.
Okay.
To find that, I would do 105 divided by 70. So I multiplied times 1.5 gave me that. So what should I do down here?
1 times 1.5.
1 times 1.5. So this equals 1.5. So to answer the question, how long will the trip take?
1 hour and 30 minutes.
1.5 hours. Okay, and number 5 is the last question I'm working with you, and then you'll have time to work on any homework. So number 5 says, oh dear. So here is my problem number 5. It reads, a hybrid car can get 54 miles per gallon when traveling at an average speed of 30 miles per hour. You traveled this car at that speed for 45 miles to your grandparents' house. Gas at the nearest station costs $3.23. Is that going to be the total bill or the $3.23 for how much? That's how much a gallon costs. It says use this information to complete the statement. So, the first statement says it will take blank hours to get to your grandparents' house. Well, I've got to calculate that. To calculate that, they told me of miles per hour. So I'm looking at this problem here. Oh dear. I need to pen. I'm looking at miles per hour. Oh God. MH. What was my miles per hour? 30 miles in how many hours? 1. Well, they told me how long it took me, or how many miles it took to get to my grandparents. How long did it take? 45 miles. I need to know how much time it took. So I need to know 30 times what gives me 45. How do I find that? Divide 45 divided by 30. What's my scale factor? 1.5. So I'm going to multiply 1 times 1.5, and what do I get? 1.5. So how many hours did it take me to get to my grandparents' house?
1.5.
Oh, good. 1.5. That is a ugly 5 hours to get to my grandparents' house. The second statement says your car will use blank gallons of gas on the trip. Well, did they tell me how much gas mileage my car gets?
Oh, it gets
What does it get?
54.
That's good,
54 miles in how many gallons? 1 gallon. Well, how many miles did it take to get to my grandparents' house? 45 miles. I don't know how much gallons it used. So to find this, how did I find the scale factor here? I did 45 divided by 30, right?
Yes, sir.
I did my new divided by original. What's my new on the second one? 45 divided by 54. I get a decimal. Why am I getting a decimal? Because did I get smaller or larger here? Smaller, so it's got to be less than 1. So my scale factor used was 0.83. So what am I going to multiply this 1 gallon by? So did I use a whole gallon on this trip?
Yeah. Did you?
.83, is that a whole gallon?
No.
No. I used most of it, but I did not use all of it. Then the last statement says you spend blank on gas for the trip. Well, did they tell me how much gas costs?
$3.23.
$3.23. For how much?
For a gallon.
1 gallon. How much gallon of gas did we use though?
No.
Not even a whole.
Not even a whole, so how much?
0.83.
0.83. So, how does 1 turn to 0.83? 1 times anything gives me, imagine this was a regular 8. What 1 times what gives me a regular 8? 8. So 1 times what's going to give me a 0.83? Okay, I'm just saying that they're listening to y'all instead of me because they can't hear it. I have to multiply times a 0.83. That's going to be my scale factor. So what am I multiplying my amount by? 0.83. Is it going to be as much money since I didn't use a whole gallon? No. So when I do 3.23 times 0.83, how much money is that? What could I round that in dollars? $2.68. That's messy. So this is $2, and I messed it up again. Alright, so your homework is finishing problem 6 and 7.
Did it do tomorrow?
I will be checking this whenever I get back to the classroom, so it should be due the next day, whatever day that is. Pay attention to remind text. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.